Another blood-red sunset and yet another moon phase, and still another 100 miles to my next resting place. Driving down the road, eyes on the horizon. Within my car, I'm all alone, but feeling good and feeling strong, knowing that this path I'm on brings me to myself. I'm driving.
Hello and welcome to Spirit Sherpa, the show that helps and encourages you on your journey to unlock your magic mojo. I'm Jules, your co-host. Our topics have evolved to correspond to different levels of individual spiritual practitioner growth. So beginners, you need to start with episode 1, intermediates, episode 98, and episode 200 starts advanced topics. With me as always to share her insights and wisdom is the spirit doctor, Kelle Sparta. Hey Kelle, how are you doing?
Hey Jules, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Summer Garden 1 for the summer is going bye-bye, so we're finishing up canning and all, and then we're going to plow everything up and start for late crop.
See, this is the advantage of not having to garden down here, is that we just go in our backyard and pick some fruit, or we go down to the fruit stand at the corner and we get some coconut water straight from the coconut, which I love.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, we just bring a pitcher, 4 coconuts, fills a pitcher.
That's funny.
So, yeah.
And it's the rainy season down there.
It is the
right?
rainy season. We've got a thunderstorm rolling in right now, which is pretty much a daily occurrence. Not quite yet, but soon. It's like 3 days out of 5 now. So, but it's coming, and but it also means it's the lush green season too. So everything has been dried out because of the dry season. And so it's all coming back to life. The banana tree in the backyard is growing so fast. Like, oh my God, I've never seen anything grow so fast in my entire life. But yeah, so that's what's going on. We've got a coffee bush in the backyard. So we've got a ton of coffee beans on the bush. It's amazing.
Talk about fresh roasted.
I'm telling you. And cascara tea, which is made from the husks of the coffee bean.
Did not know that.
I didn't know that until I moved here either.
Okay.
Cascara actually means the skin of something, the husk of something.
Okay.
And so that's why they call it cascara tea. It's not specifically coffee husks, it's any husk. So there you go.
Okay.
Husk or shell. Yeah.
Well, very good. Rock and roll.
You learned something new. Do you feel edified?
I'm feeling very edified. It actually made me think of the Naked and Afraid show, that episode that we watched last night, I think. Yeah. And they were in some jungle somewhere in the deepest, darkest of the jungles, and they have this tree out there, and the native people call it the tree of life, which I was like, really? What does this do? Well, it puts out all of these nuts, and that's like one of the main staples. Well, then you have the little bugs that come in, and there's a little grub that burrows in and gets inside the nut. So now whenever the Naked and Afraid people were looking for protein, they cracked open the nut. Bonus! They have the nut and they have the grub. And so they were being trained. This really will be your tree of life in this situation. So
wow.
There you go. So see, even more, trivia. We will so be ready for Trivial Pursuit.
There's so many reasons I don't do reality TV.
Oh, but it's fun.
Oh, no. I mean, like, as a contestant. So, there's no way. So, yeah. So anyway, guess what today is?
I know what today is. It's
today is our 5-year
anniversary.
That's right. It's 5 years to the day from the day that I published the first episode of Spirit Sherpa. And so,
oh my goodness.
This is my moment to say to all the listeners, thank you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for listening. I wouldn't have gotten this far if you guys hadn't found what I was putting out useful and listened. So, and rated and shared with your friends and, all the things. So thank you for bringing this podcast this far. It is one of the highlights of my week to do these podcasts. In fact, my husband and I talked about it, and he's like, well, if you had, millions of dollars in the bank and you didn't have to do anything anymore, would you still do your podcast? And I'm like, yeah, I think I would, because I just love it. So thank you for giving me a reason to do the thing I love. And, we've gone the gamut since we started. And, we're going to talk about some more stuff later on. We're not just going to do a retrospective here, so don't check out yet. We are going to talk about the energetic downloads and why you're so tired. So, stay tuned.
Yes.
But when we started this, it was designed to be for beginners, right? It was it was originally called The Beginner's Guide to Energy, Magic, in the Spirit World. And in fact, if you listen to the early episodes, that's what we say. And that only changed because my friends came up to me months after I started podcasting and saying, oh my God, I love your podcast. And I'm like, you guys have been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years. Why are you listening to a beginner's podcast? And they're like, well, you're stitching together every 2-hour class we've ever taken in our lives. I love it. I'm like, oh, okay, awesome. So, then it became your guide to energy, magic, in the spirit world. And we started off with Joey C., who was... he was so
Phenomenal.
awesome. Phenomenal. We still miss you, Joey. And
that's right.
Yeah, it's he was really the impetus for getting this started. He showed up in my living room with his girlfriend Andrea, and we were talking, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I like to host podcasts and help people be successful in their podcasts." And I'm like, "Really?" Really? Because we should talk, my dear. Right? And thus began the beautiful friendship of 3.5 years of podcasting together. And so that was awesome. And then we went through the period where I was doing it on my own and interviewing people. And so there was like the parade of potentials. And then Jules was the obvious choice because, we vibe. We vibe.
Yes.
Yeah. You should hear us when we're not like together on the podcast. Really, you shouldn't. It's not good.
We just
it's
keep
good.
going.
It's awesome, but it's not. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, and this has been fun for me because I start out as your student, and I still am,
Still are. Yep.
I'm not going anywhere, so like a bad rash, but and so it's cool for me to do this because I still, whether it's me and you chit chatting back and forth about a topic, or you have someone on, I still have questions. So I'm like, okay, well, somebody out there has to have that same question. So
right.
So I'm going to blindside you completely. Yeah, I am. So so 5 years ago, the first episode was published, right? Orientation to Spirit.
Yeah.
And was it by design that you published it on summer solstice?
Yes, it was.
And why was that very important, or to do that?
What I'm realizing too is that I published it on summer solstice that year, and it was also a Thursday.
Oh, I don't know that part.
This. No,
wow.
I do. I remember because we established that our published would be on Sundays, but we put the first one out on Thursday because it was summer solstice.
Oh,
and the idea was that summer solstice is the coming to fruition of coming back of the light and the fullness of the sun and bringing everything
coming to life,
to vision, right?
Yeah.
Longest day of the year, right?
Yes.
And that was the idea, was that it was to help fuel the podcast getting seen, because it was the longest day of the year, right? So it was, sympathetic magicking off of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I knew it was by design. I didn't quite, know where you were coming from on that, but I was like, at least it's like 5 years later, I recognize, I'm like, she did that on purpose on summer solstice. I know that. She was manifesting it, that it was like breathing life into it. Kind of like,
Yes,
like a new business. It's a new baby being birthed.
exactly. Yeah.
So,
Now,
so,
yeah, summer solstice isn't always the it can be the birthing. The planting of the seed is usually Beltane, and the harvesting is usually um, Lunaska, Lunasa.
Lanasa.
I can't
Okay.
pronounce it the way it's written. I was like, wait, no, that's not right. Lunasa. That's or the yeah. My brain is not working today. Anyway, but midsummer is really when the first harvest is just starting to come up. And then first harvest is actually August 1, and then the second harvest is the fall equinox. So, yeah. So it's not really a harvesting time, but it is the longest day of the year, and it is the full promise of the sun being fulfilled, right?
There you go. There you go.
So,
So see,
yeah,
everything has purpose. And
everything does.
yeah, and even Joey going into your living room, that was the universe putting y'all two together, because you had no clue he did that. He had no clue
Yep.
you were going to be wanting a podcast. And the universe said, hold my martini, watch this. And it just,
Yes, yes. Because I was actually thinking it would be really nice to have a podcast, but that I didn't have the energy to make sure that I did it by myself every week, right? That's most podcasts don't make it past their first 5 to 10 episodes. The vast majority of podcasts don't last more than 10 episodes.
oh, I didn't know
And
that.
so, yeah, well, yeah, it's because it's hard. It's hard to
Mm-hmm.
designate a time every single week, and to do it without fail, and to make sure you have topics or guests or, whatever, and then do all the editing and all the other hoopla that goes along with that, which God bless Joey. He did that for the first like 2 years until I hired it out. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work. Putting out a podcast is a huge amount of effort. It's
Mm-hmm.
less effort today than it was when we started 5 years ago, because there are a lot of tools available now that weren't available back then that make it easier for editing and whatnot, and marketing and everything, which I do a mediocre job of too. I'm so bad at self promotion. I'm too busy going, I have things to say.
I have things to say. There's content, people.
Oh,
There's
God.
content.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a lot easier today than it used to be. Certainly much easier than it was when I put my first podcast out about real estate in 2005.
Oh
I
my
had a
gosh, that's
podcast in
funny.
2005. I had a custom built learning platform on my website in 2005
Oh,
because
wow.
I knew that online learning was a thing. I was like, yep, it's coming. I'm building it. Yeah. So that's it is my gift and my my curse, because I'm typically about 10 years ahead of the curve. So it's a problem, because everybody's like, what's a podcast? I don't understand. What do you mean you have a learning platform? What's a learning platform? Yeah. So it's
That's
like
when we
that.
need to get the trademarks in place. And they go, what's a website? Can you
Yeah.
imagine?
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't think you could have trademarked that, but yeah. Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
So let's get back to the topics that we normally talk about, which is
All
let's talk
right.
about the downloads. And this is the other reason. So I wanted to put out a podcast today specifically, and not just a random podcast. I wanted to put out a 5 year anniversary one, because it's the 5 year anniversary, and because I was having a conversation with some of my clients earlier this week, and I realized that we really need to talk about this. So,
Okay.
what's happening right now? This is June 22nd of 2023 that we're recording this, and the moon has just gone through a change into Gemini on the 18th, and the shift into Gemini is, according to all the astrologers that I track, is this huge manifestation moon, woohoo, right? except that the moon was also squared against Jupiter, which meant that all your inner self-doubt and bullshit was coming to the surface and going, I can't do this. I can't, right? And so if you can't get past your then you can't get into the massive manifestation. And so, I personally did a manifestation ritual with a couple of my friends and my husband on the 18th. And we sat down and we pulled in the energy and we jointly created a vision of what each couple wanted and jointly manifested that together and created that energy and then pulled out all the blocks to those things and all of the stuff, right? And immediately I started having the dreams that I have when this happens, which is
Which are? Are there
I
more
end up
down
having dreams
trees?
of being chased.
Oh,
I
you're
end
being
up having dreams of
chased.
being chased or pursued or, like I'm in trouble or something's going on. I start having these anxiety-based dreams. And I had them for the first 2 days afterwards, and then yesterday I'm like, wait a minute, like my anxiety was way through the roof for 2 days, and I'm like, what is going on? I was just beyond like my ability to cope in some cases, and I was like, what? Why am I? We had no internet for the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday here. And so I was
Oh,
constantly
okay.
having to re-log on to my Wi-Fi hotspot, which sometimes didn't work, and so my frustration levels were very high. And I'm like, this is not me. What is going on here? And I realized it was my ego kicking in and going, you just asked for something that's going to kill me. Right? Like I'm stepping into a new identity. And so my identity, my ego identity is going, no! Right? It's freaking out. And,
I am
and
perfectly
I'm,
content where I am. Leave me alone,
right.
says the ego.
And I'm like, yeah, and I'm doing it anyway, right? Like, so I'm like, have you met me? Really? Seriously? Have you met me? Where do you think I'm going to change my mind? Girlfriend here does not change her mind on this sort of shit. So
Right.
get on board, right? So he and I call it a he because in my world it's a he.
Okay.
So he and I came to an understanding yesterday at the end of the day when I went, oh, yeah, duh, this is what this is. And so what I did was I took that energy and I redirected it. And I said, look, I understand you're trying to keep me safe and that you're trying to keep everything okay. You need to understand that I am divinely guided, that the universe takes care of me no matter what. Here's all my evidence. And I laid out all the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am going here. You need to get on board or get out of the way. So you are currently trying to keep me safe. I am already safe. We need to start with that assumption. I am already safe. So why don't we direct you towards making this the easiest and most graceful way to this path? Easiest, fastest, most graceful way to the path. You can work on that. And my anxiety level dropped and my calmness returned. And I was just like, oh, okay, here we go. We're back, right? Because I gave it a job, right?
Okay.
Okay. So that can be something that happens when you do manifestation at that level, when you're rewriting your whole life, right? And when you're asking for a big uptick from where you are to where you want to be, you have to know that that's going to require an identity uptick too. So be careful what you ask for. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So that was not the downloads I wanted to talk about, but it was important. So
Apparently, we needed to hear it.
apparently you needed to hear it. So here's the deal. So there are these downloads that are happening right now. I mean, we're in a massive shift time. Somebody just sent me something on my WhatsApp group that was, they were talking about the I can't remember which tribe, but there was a tribe that was putting out information about how we are going through at this point a big transition time, and that everything is shifting, and that we're calling in a new way of being on the planet, and bringing things into more resolution and no conflict and things like that. Harmony was the word. And so they're like, oh, it's really important that we do things differently, that we up level and we get to this point. Well, I don't know if that's what the downloads are about, but I will tell you there's been a freak ton of them. Okay, for like the last 6 weeks or so, there has been a massive amount of downloads that have been coming through, and every energy aware person I know is going through periods of complete exhaustion, followed by, respites of maybe 2 to 3 days, followed by complete exhaustion. Mm-hmm. And that is because the downloads are coming fast and furious, and they give us 2 or 3 days to integrate them. And then they go, here's the next batch, right? And it's like we're getting system updates in our sleep. And so that's why your sleep has been interrupted. Okay. That is why your sleep has been not restful because you're not actually sleeping. You're downloading. That's why your sleep has been longer than usual, and you are waking up still tired. So like if you usually sleep 7 hours, you're sleeping 9 and still tired, right? Yeah, that's why. So if you get to the point where you are too tired on a daily basis, you need to just say, I need a day off, or I need 3 days off. You've got to give me a break. Uncle, right?
I give.
Yeah, I give. Give me a break. So you do have the right to say that. So make use of it, right? And recognize that some of the downloads that are happening are causing people to have really profound ideology shifts, intention shifts. Like, I'm watching spiritual practitioners all over the world say, I have completely rewritten my business and I'm starting over. I am doing something completely different. I have started something completely new. I may have been doing this for 15 years, but I'm starting something completely new. And I'm watching this roll out in the last 6 months. And
so
people are...
The inspiration is coming from the downloads? Or don't know?
I think it's... So there's a shift that's happening right now. Hold on. Just going to channel this answer instead of trying to think about the answer. So there's a shift that's happening right now on the planet, and that started, it started in the pandemic and actually started before that, but it's ramping up now. It's been ramping up since about January. And the ramping up is, it's an energetic shift. Oh, I just lost power. I'm going to lose you. All right. So we're coming back in because I lost power. So it really started ramping up in January. And then what I've been seeing in the spiritual practitioners, the people who are, teachers, is that there's this mass shift in the way that they're working. And that's what my company's been going through as well. That's what I've been going through as well. We went through the rebrand. We're expanding to do business with business owners and with spiritual practitioners. And so, it's a complete redirection of the company. And, I tried to avoid it, and the universe was like, no, fuck you. This is what we're doing. I'm like, but I don't want to. I'm just done, and I don't want to have to do anything else, right? And they're just like, I don't care. So, so that's been the way it is. So but this has been coming for a while, and the downloads are... So the downloads are happening for everyone, but they are like booster packs onto the change in the energetics, right? So like the change in the energetics happened around December, January. And then the shift came in, it might have started a little earlier. Yeah, I think September. Yeah. So, and then the shift started happening for the people who were on the energetics, right? The energetics came up. We're like, yeah, okay, I feel the shift. We got to adjust to it accordingly, whatever. So, and then the downloads are now happening. I mean, I'm getting them too. So, and I was already on the energy of them. So they're amplification packs for it. Is kind of like booster packs, right? So they're for the people who weren't paying attention and didn't know. The downloads are coming to go, yo, wake up, shake,
Oh, they're
shake,
going.
shake, shake, right? For those of us who did
So a
know,
lot more people are waking up.
yes. For those of us who did know, it's the booster pack. Ready to go? Are you ready? Because here we go. It's that sort of thing. So that is why you're so tired. That is why you are sleeping more and less awake. And that is what's going on. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew because it's just super important that people know that that's the case. So as you're going through your day, just keep that in mind and know that you can ask for time off. So, did you have any questions about that, Jules? You look like you might have something to say.
I do.
Okay.
I do. I do.
I do.
So, so with me, for last 2 months easy. When I go to bed at night, right? I'll say my nighttime dreaming, I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'll put the intention, I want to remember, I don't remember. Then I wake up, usually, and this is normal for me, wake up anywhere between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Shocker, veil is the thinnest. So get up, then go back to bed. From that point on, it's like I know I'm dreaming, and I remember almost everything. And those are the freaky dreams.
Yes.
Like I know there's meaning behind it, but like I'll be back in high school, but we're all adults,
Mm-hmm.
and each of my high school peers, they kind of like represent something, and they'll test me. And do I react like I did in high school where I was scared of it, or do I'm like, hold on, no, we're not doing this bullshit anymore. This is how. No, I'm not taking this shit.
Yeah.
Do I need to just punch you in the throat? So and
There's
it's
a
weird.
spiritual response. Do I need to just punch you in the
That's
throat?
it. Just punch you in the throat. No, you're not going to intimidate me. I am the biggest bad in the
There
room.
you go.
I'm not the little nerd who feels out of place, who's trying to get friends and all that. Bitch, I can stand on my own.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm working out all of this stuff, or there's like these my little, I'll say celestial beings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who they are or what they are. And then we're just having a conversation. And, and that kind of thing. So those are what I call my freaky dreams, but those happen in the morning.
That's
So
actually
my
pretty
question
common.
is,
Yeah.
okay, is during the downloads, does that cause us to have more freaky dreams, or not remember, or it could vary?
It depends on the content of the downloads. I have been having some pretty technicolor color dreams recently. Things that are like, what is this? I don't always remember my dreams, but I have definitely been remembering my dreams recently. Now, part of that is going to be because the downloads are happening, and my sleep is getting disturbed, and so I'm coming up to a waking level enough that I'm remembering what I was thinking about at the time, what I was dreaming about. So, it's when we come into consciousness and we can stay in that beta, state or alpha state.
Yes.
And, part of it's going to be that, but part of it could in fact be the nature of the downloads triggering things, because,
Okay.
they're going out to a lot of people all at once. And so there's a chance of like connecting into other people in your dreams and things like that at that time, and things along those natures. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like electron backwash, right?
I've never heard that before. Electron backwash. That does not sound pleasant.
No, but it's like if everything's going downstream, occasionally, you could hiccup and go upstream and catch somebody else hiccuping at the same time, and whatever, you could end up in connection that way. But
yeah,
because you're all connected at the point of download, right? So it's that.
Yeah.
But there's big shifts coming.
If
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, and for me, it's been around being able to connect with either my ancestors or actually my little dog Cinnamon. She came through there, and my dogs will come visit me in my dreams. That's not unusual. The unusual part that literally happened a couple days ago was she licked my nose, right? And I instantly sat up because I actually felt her lick my nose as though she were right there on my bed.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, that's a new one. I mean, I sat straight up in bed.
Yeah. I've had that
And I'm
experience.
like, okay,
Yeah.
you know. But most of mine, they're always geared toward me. You know me, I want to, the fireballs and, the lighting the candle, which is a,
Yeah.
you know.
Practical magic.
And so it's all about
Yeah.
practical magic powers,
Blow it into being.
Um,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And then I watched, what was the other one? The one with all the girls.
The Craft.
Oh my God. The Craft, thank you. It came on TV the other night. So, of course, I had to watch
Of
that.
course, yeah. I
And
hate when The Craft comes on because all the teenagers out there start being like badass witches, and I'm
start
this,
being,
and
yeah.
the attitude goes out, and it's just like, oh my God, really? Okay. Yeah.
But, and I guess it's just, me also just owning, going, I can do this. There are no barriers.
Yes.
It's like, it's not the, who, little old me?
Right.
Bitches, I'm here. I'm out the damn broom closet. Bibbity boppity boo.
Bippity boppity boo. Boom. Yeah.
Boo, bitch. Yeah. So, but that's cool though. So I always wondered if, how people experience those downloads,
Yeah. Well, and this particular batch of downloads is all about upgrading. It's all about up leveling. It's about, stepping into a higher level of your own self, and that requires digging. So we've talked about the spirit is an artisanal well, right? It's a spring. And, we throw garbage in it over the course of our lives, and other people throw garbage in it, and eventually it stops flowing, and then all we see is water in it is rainwater. And we think that's all who we are. And, is just that little bit of rainwater that we happen to have on whatever given day if it's rained enough, right? And so, we feel empty a lot. But that's because there's garbage in the well. And so every time you're being asked to step into a higher level of being, you've got to dig the garbage out of the well, right? Because you can't step into a higher level of being without having more access to yourself, which is that spring underneath all the garbage, right? So this is just fair warning that, there will be some garbage mining in your future because of these downloads. Okay? You will do it, whether you do it on your own or you do it in a program or you do it with a friend or whatever. You will do it. I'm just warning you, it's coming.
We'll do it.
So, the only way to avoid is to completely resist and reject, and that has its own consequences too. So I don't recommend them. And so,
because then you'll be in remedial and have to repeat this lifetime over again.
maybe.
So you still have to do it anyway.
I don't know. This is one of those things. I keep talking to people and they're like, oh, well, I'm here to learn something and I have to do this process to finish this life, to move on to the next planet. And you know what? The longer I'm in this, the less I believe that. I didn't ever fully ascribe to it to begin with.
Okay.
And the reason is that if you think about it, we are God. Well, I'm going to use the term God just because it's convenient, but we are the all-knowing, all-seeing, omnipotent knowingness, collectiveness of being, right? And
yes,
if you think about what is it that God could need to come into 3D form for and forget who they are, right? Why would they need to forget who they are and come into 3D form? It's not about having to evolve yourself, although you do learn that as part of the process. God being all knowing and all having, there's no emotional maturity when everything is instantly provided, right? But, everybody who's ever had a spoiled child in their presence knows this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want one. I want it now.
Yeah. So there's no emotional maturity there, but does God have emotion? I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. It's a uniquely human thing, right? Our emotions come from our bodies. They come from our amygdalas, from our brain, Is that really something God might actually have? Maybe feelings is one of the reasons God comes to the planet, is to experience feelings, right? That could be the case. And so, yeah, we might be learning emotional maturity, but we might just be learning emotions. Might just be experiencing emotions.
Might be.
Might just be experiencing what physical reality is like because, hey, why not? Right? And
Yeah.
there's also a piece in here which could be the reason why, which is God is learning how to separate desire from outcome. So that there's a point, the thing about the physical reality is that it provides distance between intention and manifestation. That's the thing about physical reality that does not exist in the spiritual realm. And so you have the opportunity to examine your intention before it comes to fruition and decide whether or not that's a good idea. Or maybe I could make it different, or tweak it this way or tweak it that way. And that could be a reason that God might want to come onto the planet. Or it could just be a big old VR game that we all just come on to play for entertainment. It's kind of like watching movies, only for spirit, right? Like you lose yourself in the movie, you're in that place for a while, and you forget that you're outside of that space if you're deep enough in the movie. Same idea, but for spirit, right? So, I would not ascribe the fact, that, the quote unquote fact that everybody throws around of, oh, this is a lesson learning place. It feels very limited for spirit.
Yeah.
Spirit isn't limited in those ways. Why would spirit need to learn anything? I don't know that it does. I mean, even as I was saying it, because I came up with this theory like 20 years ago that, it was the distance between, thought and manifestation. But, as I was saying it, I was like, well, if God doesn't like what it manifested, then it could just change it immediately, right? And tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak until it's exactly what it wants, right? So that argument that I came up with 20 years ago that I was so proud of is just doesn't work. So 20 years later, I'm going, nope, that one doesn't fly. So
you're like, no,
I was saying it, I'm like, no, that doesn't fly. It's the first time I really talked about it out loud. It's just an experience, right? And so, if life is just an experience, a series of experiences, and we don't have to learn anything, we don't have to do anything, we just get to be ourselves. And so, what does it mean to just be yourself, right? That's the question we have to ask ourselves.
That's the question.
Right. Who am I when I dig all the garbage out of my spring, right? And who does that become? And we get all scared about it, which is kind of silly if you think about it, because we're scared to be ourselves. What?
We're scared because as you remove the garbage, what I'm picturing in my head is like, we're beings of light. And that light gets brighter the more that the garbage is not on top.
Yes.
So, oh my God, how bright am I going to be? Ah!
Right.
And
it's like, you're going to be as bright as you are. And you are that. You're already that. You're just not admitting you're that. So,
right.
It's not new. You're already this person. You're just becoming conscious of that. So, and I'm not saying that, I'm not poo-pooing and saying, oh, you're ridiculous for being scared. I'm saying that we're all ridiculous for being scared, right? Like, because I had that, I just told that story of, I was going, who am I going to become? Right? I just had that experience, right? And I'm like, okay, just stop, right? because that's the default script, right? That's the thing that's trying to keep us safe by keeping us in the known territory. And that's the part that holds us back.
Yeah. And that's an example, a true life example, from someone who's been doing this for umpteen years, that you still have that process. Yes. It's not a one and done.
No, it's not a one and done.
It's not yes, I cleaned out my well like in 1945. That's nice.
Well, and I'm still cleaning out my well, but it's not about at
Yeah.
this point, it's about optimizing the well output, less about not
Mm-hmm.
having garbage. I pretty much have pulled the garbage out at this point, but the the
Right.
piece that I'm doing right now is like it's like inner fracking without the bad stuff, right? So it's just like opening up the water flow more, right? Without, you know, there's
Mm-hmm.
the physical impacts don't matter on the spiritual. So, but you know, it's that sort of thing, but it still triggers the same response. It's just I've got to remember to turn it off
Mm-hmm.
and be like, right, no, we're not doing that, right?
Yeah, no, we're
So,
not doing that.
you know, this is the thing to remember is that this is not a there's no goal in spirituality, and when we're just getting started, we're all about the goal. I want to be spiritual. I want to be evolved. There, that is not a place. Let me just say now, that is not a place that you ever get to. Okay, this is a journey, and you are on the journey already. And all you got to do is put one foot in front of the other. Right? That's all it takes is just keep walking. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Right? We'll do a little Dory action here, right? But you got to stop worrying about the goal because the goal is in the future and the only thing you can do is in the present. So you got to let go of that goal because it keeps you from being present. And just be where you are and you know take the next step that's in front of you. Don't worry about the step after that or the step after that. They will take care of themselves. Don't worry about who you will be in 5 years because that person will become as a function of the work you do in that 5 years. And so you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
say, well, I can't do that thing I see me doing that's so big. Well, you won't be this person anymore by the time you get to the big thing, and so it won't matter, right? This person doesn't have to be that person. You know, the person you will become will be that person. So,
We'll be that
yeah.
person.
So,
Mm-hmm.
you know all of these things, right? I'm just saying that right now we're doing the upgrade. And right now is a really good time that if you have not come into the Welcome to the Woo program, this would be a really good time to do it because of all the downloads that are happening and all the shit that's going to come flying at your face, whether you like it or not, because that's what's happening. I don't make the rules, I just report them. So,
Universe waits on no one.
yeah, when they elect me God, this shit will stop, is all I'm saying. So, you know, but it's just, it's just, yeah. I got to thank my father for that quote. It's the best thing he ever told me. So, you know, this is the thing. If you are thinking, you know, holy crap, I feel out of control, and wow, thank you for that information because I didn't know, I want you to know my students knew earlier this week. And if I had not had the anniversary podcast to do today, I probably would not have gotten around to saying anything because by the time the podcasts were coming out that were next in the queue, they would have, it would have just not been relevant anymore at that point. So, you know, this is the thing that my students usually get that you guys don't get because of the timing on podcasts and whatever. So, you know, this is a good time to step in and do the Welcome to the Woo program. If you are on the fence, please remember that for a limited time, I am actually teaching these classes myself. So you get direct access to me. I'm teaching both, I'm
What?
teaching all of them because Stephen has moved
You
on.
overachiever.
Stephen,
Oh, has
yes,
he?
Stephen has moved on to he. So one of the things we do with our students is anytime I have a coach that I'm training and I'm working with, they're still in coaching with me and with Kathy. And Kathy and I were working with Stephen on, you know, what is it that you want? Because he's getting to retirement age and he was like, oh, well, you know, my hobby job, blah, 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 blah. And then I can do all the things I want to do, blah, 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 blah. And we looked at him and we were like, do you really need a hobby job? You know, is that really being retired if you're doing a hobby job? And he was like, maybe you're right. Let me think about it. And he went and looked at his finances and he went and looked at his life and he said, you know, I don't need a hobby job. I quit. He said it nicer than that, but that's what it came down to was we were the hobby job that he was going to do for his retirement. And you know, doing the shamanic work and doing the coaching and stuff was was something that he was going to do to keep his hands in, to keep some income coming in, and to move forward with that.
Right.
And he was like, I don't need to. I'm going to have my life, and I'm going to have my retirement as a full retirement. And we fully supported that. I did not anticipate, I didn't anticipate that was going to be the response when I said it, because I didn't know that we were the hobby job. But, but yeah, so he moved on at the end of May. And so I have taken over the courses.
Okay.
And so, if you were sad when I stopped teaching them, well, be happy now and get in while the getting's good, because I am training up new coaches now. And so, this will be an opportunity for you to come and get to work with me in a group setting. But it's a small group. So we literally are just re-enrolling people, because I was doing the rebrand and I didn't want to try and market while I was doing the rebrand and all of that. So we've been not marketing it for a while. And so it's a very small group that's left. So I think we've got 2 or 3 people in there right now. So it is an intimate environment that will not remain so for much longer. So this would be a good time to sign up if you're sitting on the fence and thinking about it. So, all right. And with that, I think we've done a full episode and then some. So much for a bonus episode.
It's a bonus
it's
round.
A bonus round. Yeah. So
I just can't help but laugh to myself, because, you're a transformational shaman, and here you go and you transform one of your coaches and free up his future, because it's kind of like, you really don't need it. You're good. Yeah. And he's like, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So see, you're a transformational shaman. You can't help yourself.
I can't.
You have to help people in their journey, no matter what.
No matter what.
That is your calling.
That's it. So even if it isn't in my best interest. So
it's gonna be all right. The universe
in the long run,
provide.
it's actually gonna be fine. But it's just, it was the fun part about being a transformational shaman is that I came to the call knowing that I was going to have to take over the classes, but I didn't know why. So that was the interesting thing.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, I was like,
okay.
I have to take these classes over. Why do I have to take I don't know why I have to take these classes over. And then we got on the call and he said, yeah, I'm leaving the company. I'm like, oh, okay. That would be why.
Oh my gosh. All right, y'all hurry up and get her.
So yeah, there it is. So anyway, this is a be careful what you ask for is the Kellyism of the day, for you will surely get it. And all the things that come with it. So yes.
Well, happy 5 years.
Thank you.
To everyone who's listening, watching. Thank y'all for hanging out for 5 years. We're going to have at least 5 more. I'm just saying. I'm seeing into the future because I'm owning it. It's going to be at least 5 more, probably 50 more, but we're just going to go with it.
No, I'm
all right
for that. Won't be with me. I'll be long dead by then.
She'll be talking to you from the grave.
That'll
be a whole nother show.
Yeah, that I could absolutely do. Yeah, no problem.
Well, that's all that we have time for this week, folks. Tune in next time when Kelly adds another chapter into your guide to energy, magic, and the spirit world. I'm Jules, here with the ever after, even after she's after, ever after still coming around, Kelle Sparta. And you have been listening to Spirit Sherpa. So long, everyone.
Bye.
Each mile I travel over 13,000 now. I leave behind a little fear.
Spirit Sherpa is the sole property of Kelle Sparta Enterprises and is distributed under Creative Commons BY-NC-ND 4.0 license. For more information about this licensing, please go to creativecommons.org. Any requests for deviations to this licensing should be sent to KELLE@KELLESPARTA.com. That's Kelly@KellySparta.com. To sign up or to get more information on the programs, offerings, and services referenced in this episode, please go to KellySparta.com. This episode of Spirit Sherpa has been produced by Honu Voice Productions.